a bit of a different video for you. If you watched my recent haul video, you know I got this beautiful, lovely Coneflowers die from Honeybee Stamps in my last cherry on top order. So when I took these dies out of the box or out of the packaging, I realized they have no directions. They have no pictures. It's just all those dies on a white background. And I knew that I was never going to remember from one day to the next how to layer them up. And so I thought that it might be a great idea to kind of show you what I do when I have a die set like this. How, when you have a layered die and they don't come with directions and they don't come with pictures, how do you go about making sure you're layering them correctly so that you have the right parts on top of each other? In this particular case, the flower alone is 6 separate layered dies. So I'm going to show you what I do to be able to easily remember from one time I use it to the next how these dies layer up. I'm going to go ahead and start by getting a sheet of the absolute thickest cardstock I have in my stash. This is the good stuff. You want really thick cardstock because you're going to keep these. You're going to keep a set of white dies already cut with your metal dies, and so you want something that's going to hold up to being kind of touched and moved around and things like that. So I went ahead and I adhered the dies to this thick white cardstock just using some washi tape, and I'm going to run the dies through my Big Shot. Once I had cut all of the different leaf shapes, I kind of lined them up where I thought that they went in the layered flowers. So this can be, I could have been right, I could have been wrong. I just had to play with it until I had figured out how they all layered up together. In this case, I kind of, and again, this is because I've worked with layered dies for a long time, many years, I pretty quickly figured out how they layered up on top of each other. But give it some time, practice with it, get an idea of how your dies line up. Where do you line them up at? I found for this particular die, lining them up right on that cone worked better. This particular die doesn't just cut, it also embosses. So that kind of helped me to be able to get the layers correct as well. So once I had a good idea of where all the different layers go, I'm going to take them apart. I'm going to flip every piece of this die over, and I'm going to mark it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and keep these white dies with these metal die cuts so that next time I want to make a coneflower, I don't have to think too hard about it, right? This really helps when you want to do a multiple colored flower. So you're gonna have lots of different colors, all different colors you're gonna see as I work through here. So there we have the matching dies, the matching metal. I have marked all of the dies all of the white cardstock pieces on the back so you can see what order they go in. I know that I'm kind of smushing my words together here just a little bit. I'm so sorry about that. But I hope you understand kind of what I did there. I think the actions speak louder than words. All right, next I'm going to grab this 6x6 Honeybee paper pad called Summer Stems. And I thought the colors in it, first of all, this paper pad is stunningly beautiful. But I also thought it would work really well to create a really pretty, fun fall colored flower. So I'm going through and I'm going to grab all the different patterns that I want to use to layer up my flower, and I also have the leaves. So the leaves, by the way, They cut and emboss, and they are only one layer. The leaves are not layered, so you don't have to worry about which one is just smaller and one is just larger. Easy as pie. I'm going to grab some brown paper to do the centers of my flowers, and by having these white cardstock pieces, I have an idea in my head of how this particular layer die layers up, how it works. And I can quickly and easily, when I pull this die set out, go right to those thick, heavy white cardstock dies and get an idea right away of how the dies work and what my flower is going to look like at the end. I just hold my metal dies in place with a strip of washi tape, and then I'm going to go ahead and die cut all of these onto my Sizzix. And then we will put one of these flowers together using all these different pattern papers. So once I have cut all of these different layers, I'm actually going to use these patterns to help me figure out which is which, and I'll tell you why. Two of the dies, the two that go in the middle, are crazy close to each other. So they are really, really similar. In fact, when I first started putting this together this time, I actually thought I had maybe cut them wrong. I hadn't, and I was fine, but I really did need those pattern pieces to kind of help me figure out how to layer them up based on how I had layered them up
yelling
before.
At me
and
making all the noise.
Sharpie marker numbers on the back. So here is our die. This is how we're going to go ahead and put them together. You can kind of see that those two in the middle are really, really close together. I found that I wanted to just adhere my coneflower by kind of putting some tape on the back of where the cone is and then letting the leaves kind of be loose. That gives your flower some lift and a bit more dimension. And then once I have all of the petal pieces in place, I'm going to grab the center pieces. If you don't care about dimension, you could totally add like some extra foam tape behind these layers. But because there are so many dies that are layering up already for me, there is plenty of lift just using these dies straight out of the pack without any kind of extra dimension added. You really don't need it. So once I have my center in, then you have the two leaves, and you can cut these leaves as many times as you want. You could cut all one size, you could cut one small, one big. There's lots and lots of ways. You could even use these leaves and use them for other types of layered flower dies or even embellishments that you might have. So really versatile and fun. I'm just going to put mine off to the side, and then I'm going to show you how to make a really quick card. So I just made a really quick and easy card to share with you today because this beautiful die, it really can kind of stand on its own, right? So look how beautiful they turned out. It turned out so pretty. I really, really am happy with this die set, and I plan on making a couple of layouts using this flower. But for today, I just wanted to show you how the die works. Now I'm going to store all of the pieces to this coneflower die in an Avery Elle kind of stamped storage pocket, along with those pattern pieces that have the Sharpie on it, so that next time I want to make one of these coneflowers, I have a pattern ready to go. Now I'm just going to flip through. I'm going to put my flower down on a couple different patterns. There's lots of fun patterns in this beautiful 6x6 pad. I'm going to go for one that's pretty kind of easy and simple, this stripe one. And then one of the pattern papers in this pad is actually like set up and ready to go to make sentiment strips for a card. So this coneflower die set and the 6x6 paper pad is double duty products. You can use them to make a card if you need to, or you can use this collection to make layouts as well. So it will work for both. And remember, it's double-sided. So if you are positively, absolutely never going to want to make a homemade card with a sentiment, that's okay, because you can just flip that sentiment paper over and there is a gorgeous lace pattern on the back. I'm going to go ahead and ink this all up using some Distress ink in Vintage Photo. You know, my go-to. It stays on my desk. It's there all the time. A standard sized card base is half a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. So again, really simple, no extra products required to get both a card and scrapbook projects done with the same products. So I'm just taking my bone folder. I'm going to go ahead and crease my card base. I'm going to add that striped panel to the front. So this striped panel is cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and that will give me a really nice white border around my card. One of the little sentiments on this paper says sending paper hugs, which I just thought was the cutest thing ever. So I decided to trim out that sentiment. Then I'm going to mat it in one of the scraps of paper from one of the patterns that we used to create the flower. I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges of this, and then I'm going to ink it up and adhere it right underneath the flower on my card. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add some of my Morning Dew Nouveau drops around to accent the flower. And our cute, simple card is done. Don't be afraid to use your scrapbooking products on cards. They make quick, easy cards, and things like this particular Coneflower die set will do double duty in your scrap room. They can be used on a multitude of paper crafting products. And of course, you can cut this layered die to make a flower in any color of the rainbow. The only limitations are your imagination. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.